You won't believe what just went down on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. In one of the most explosive episodes we've seen in years, Kirk Frost and Jasmine Washington finally came face to face in a confrontation that had everyone holding their breath. What started as a supposedly mature discussion about co-parenting their son Carter spiraled into absolute mayhem within minutes, accusations flying, voices cracking with rage, old wounds ripped wide open, and secrets that had been buried for years detonating like grenades right in front of the cameras. Picture the scene: dim lighting in an upscale Atlanta restaurant, the kind of place where deals are normally made and champagne flows quietly. But tonight there was no champagne, only pure venom. Kirk, the man who's spent seasons acting like he's got his life, his marriage, and his side situations all perfectly under control, completely unraveled. His face twisted with fury as he leaned across the table, jabbing his finger inches from Jasmine's face, screaming that she was trying to destroy him. Jasmine. She didn't flinch. Not once. Instead, she sat there cool as ice, arms crossed, delivering blow after devastating blow with receipts that made jaws drop from Atlanta to the internet. Fans have been obsessed with this storyline for months, whispering in comment sections, arguing in group chats, making TikToks breaking down every cryptic Instagram post. Was the Jasmine and Kirk drama really just about money and custody? Or was there something deeper, something that threatened to pull Rasheeda's entire world down with it? This episode didn't just tease answers, it served them on a platter, then smashed the platter over Kirk's head. It all kicked off when Kirk demanded they meet, man to woman, to hash out a new visitation schedule. Jasmine agreed, but she didn't come empty-handed. The moment they sat down, Kirk launched into his usual spiel. "I'm just trying to be there for my son. You're making this harder than it needs to be." Jasmine cut him off mid-sentence. "You want to talk about being there for your son?" she snapped, voice low but lethal. "Let's talk about the nights you were there for everybody except him." Kirk laughed it off at first. That laugh died fast when Jasmine slid her phone across the table and hit play. The audio that filled the space between them was crystal clear, Kirk's own voice, caught on a baby monitor or a hidden recording. No one knows how she got it. Trash-talking Jasmine to their little boy, calling her unstable, saying she was turning Carter against him. The restaurant went dead silent. Kirk's face drained of color. For the first time in years on this show, the man looked genuinely cornered. But Jasmine wasn't finished. Not even close. She leaned in, eyes locked on his, and dropped the bomb the entire fandom has been waiting for. "You think Rasheeda's the only one who's been played? Tell them about the apartment in Buckhead. Tell them about the monthly deposits. Tell them why you really fought so hard to keep this quiet." Kirk exploded. "You promised you wouldn't go there," he roared, slamming both palms on the table so hard the silverware jumped. Glasses wobbled. A waiter froze mid-step. "This ain't about us, this is about my son." "No," Jasmine fired back, rising to her feet now, "this is about you lying to everybody. To Rasheeda. To your fans. To me. And especially to Carter. You don't get to play victim when you've been writing checks to keep your double life going." The room felt like it was spinning. Phones were already out, patrons recording, whispers spreading like wildfire. Within minutes Kirk exposed and Jasmine spills were climbing the trending charts. Social media was on fire before the commercial break even hit. And just when viewers thought the drama had peaked, the restaurant door swung open and someone walked in who turned this already nuclear confrontation into a full-on apocalypse. Who was it? What did they say? And how did one sentence flip the entire power dynamic in ways no one saw coming? This wasn't just an argument. This was a reckoning. Emotions ran high, loyalties shattered, and the family was left divided in ways we haven't seen since the early days of Love and Hip Hop. Fans are shocked. The internet is in shambles. And the episode has people asking one burning question. After tonight, is there any coming back for Kirk Frost? Buckle up, because we're breaking down every single second of this jaw-dropping, reputation-shattering confrontation, word for word, twist for twist. You don't want to miss this. The door swung open with a dramatic whoosh that cut through the tension like a knife, and in walked Rasheeda Frost herself, heels clicking, face a mask of barely contained fury, designer bags slung over one shoulder like a weapon ready to be deployed. The entire restaurant seemed to freeze in that instant. Kirk's mouth dropped open mid-sentence, his finger still pointed accusingly at Jasmine. Jasmine didn't look surprised at all. In fact, a small, knowing smirk tugged at the corner of her lips, as if she'd been counting down the seconds until this exact moment. Rasheeda didn't even glance at the gawking patrons filming on their phones. Her eyes were locked on her husband, then flicked to Jasmine, then back to Kirk, and the betrayal in her expression was so raw it felt like the whole room could feel it in their chests. "What the hell is this?" Rasheeda's voice cracked through the silence, low and dangerous, the kind of tone that makes producers salivate because they know gold when they hear it. She didn't wait for an answer. She marched straight to the table, snatched a chair from a nearby empty spot, and slammed it down between them before sitting with the posture of someone who'd come to end empires. "Y'all really thought you could sit here hashing out our business without me? After everything?" Kirk tried to recover, standing up halfway like he could somehow defuse this bomb with charm. "Baby, listen, this ain't what it looks like. She called me here to talk about Carter, that's it. I was trying to keep it civil." "Civil?" Rasheeda barked a laugh that had zero humor in it. "You been paying for her apartment in Buckhead while telling me the money was going to business investments. While I was holding down our home, raising our kids, building my brand, you was out here playing house number 2. She turned to Jasmine, eyes narrowing. "And you? You sat in my face at events, smiled in pictures, posted blessings on your story, knowing the whole time you was cashing checks with my husband's name on them. How long you been plotting this reveal?" Jasmine didn't back down an inch. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice steady as steel. "I didn't plot nothing. I waited. I waited while he promised he'd tell you. I waited while he said he was leaving the situation behind. I waited 9 months pregnant, watching him go home to you every night. And when Carter was born and he still hadn't said a word, I stopped waiting. This ain't about revenge, Rasheeda. This is about truth finally catching up." The cameras, because of course the Love and Hip Hop crew had cameras rolling from discrete angles, caught every micro expression. Kirk's eyes darting between the two women like a man watching his life flash before his eyes. Rasheeda's hands trembling slightly as she gripped the edge of the table. Jasmine's chin held high even as tears glistened but refused to fall. Fans watching at home were losing their minds in real time. The live reactions on X were flooding in so fast the platform nearly crashed. "Rasheeda just walked in like a boss," one viral tweet read. "Kirk looking like he saw a ghost. This episode is history." But the twists were far from over. Kirk, desperate to regain control, tried to flip the script. "Hold up, y'all acting like I'm the only one with secrets. Rasheeda, you wanna talk about truth? Tell Jasmine how you knew about the apartment 6 months ago and said nothing. Tell her how you told me to handle it quietly so it wouldn't mess up your tour schedule. You've been complicit this whole time." Rasheeda's head snapped toward him so fast it was almost cartoonish. "Excuse me? You gone sit here and gaslight me in front of the world? I found one bank statement, Kirk. One. And when I asked you about it, you cried, said it was a one-time thing, begged me not to leave because the kids needed their daddy at home. I stayed for them. Not for you. And now you're trying to make me the villain." Jasmine let out a slow, incredulous exhale. "So you knew? You knew he was still involved with me and you let it slide?" There was genuine hurt in her voice now, the first crack in her armor. "All those times I texted him begging for answers. All those nights I cried myself to sleep wondering why he wouldn't choose. You knew and you stayed silent." Rasheeda's shoulders slumped for just a second before she straightened again. "I didn't know the full extent. I thought it was over. I thought he was done. I was trying to protect my family." "Protect your family by letting him keep another one on the side?" Jasmine shot back. "That's not protection. That's enabling." The argument escalated into pure chaos. Voices overlapped, accusations ricocheted like bullets. Kirk tried to interject, shouting over both women that he was tired of being attacked, that he was doing the best he could, that nobody understands the pressure I'm under. But nobody was buying it anymore. Even the producers in the back were exchanging looks like they couldn't believe the footage they were capturing. Then came the second massive twist, one that nobody, not even the most die-hard sleuths in the fandom, saw coming. Rasheeda reached into her bag and pulled out a thick manila envelope. She slapped it on the table so hard the salt and pepper shakers rattled. "Since we're doing receipts tonight," she said, voice eerily calm now, "let's do all of them." She slid the envelope toward Jasmine. "Open it." Jasmine hesitated for the first time all night. Her fingers trembled slightly as she lifted the flap and pulled out a stack of documents. Bank statements, lease agreements, text message printouts. And at the bottom, a paternity test result dated just 3 months ago. The name on it, Carter Frost. But the conclusion section was circled in red marker. Probability of paternity, 0%. The restaurant went so quiet you could hear the ice clinking in someone's forgotten drink. Kirk's face turned ashen. He reached for the paper, but Rasheeda snatched it back. "Don't touch it," she hissed. "You already knew, didn't you? That's why you fought so hard for custody, not because you love him, but because you needed him on paper to keep the checks coming, to keep the story going. You let me raise a child that ain't even yours biologically, Kirk. You let me love him like my own blood while you played daddy for the cameras." Jasmine stared at the document, then at Kirk, then at Rasheeda. Tears finally spilled over. You're saying Carter isn't his?" Rasheeda nodded once, sharply. "DNA don't lie. I did the test after I found the apartment papers. I needed to know how deep the lies went. And they went all the way to my son's crib." Kirk exploded out of his chair, knocking it backward. "This is bullshit. That's not real. You're lying to hurt me." "Test was done at Piedmont Hospital. Notarized, chain of custody intact," Rasheeda said coldly. "You can scream all you want. The truth is out." Jasmine stood slowly, clutching the edge of the table for support. "All this time, I thought he was fighting for our son. But he was fighting for control. For money. For image." She looked at Kirk with something close to pity mixed with disgust. "You used my baby as a pawn." The camera zoomed in tight on Kirk's face as the realization hit him that there was no coming back from this. No smooth talk, no producer intervention, no edit that could save him. Fans online were in meltdown mode. "Kirk isn't the father" trended worldwide within minutes. Memes of his shocked expression were already circulating. Group chats blew up. Blogs posted emergency articles. The love and hip-hop universe had just been flipped upside down. Rasheeda wasn't done. She turned to Jasmine, voice softer now but still firm. "I don't like you. I don't trust you. But that little boy didn't ask for any of this. If you're really about him, we need to figure out what's next without Kirk pulling strings." Jasmine wiped her tears, nodding slowly. "For Carter. Not for anybody else." Kirk tried one last plea. "Baby, please, let's talk about this at home. Don't do this here." Rasheeda stood up, towering over him in her heels. "Home. You lost the right to call anywhere home with me the moment you signed those lease papers behind my back. We're done, Kirk. And this time, no begging, no tears, no, for the kids. Because one of those kids isn't even yours." She walked out first, head high, leaving Kirk slumped in his chair and Jasmine standing frozen, the paternity results still clutched in her hand like they weighed 1,000 pounds. The producers called cut, but the damage was already done. Social media exploded into a frenzy that lasted days. Fans picked sides. Team Rasheeda for finally standing up. Team Jasmine for exposing the lies. Team Carter because an innocent child was caught in the crossfire. Hashtags like #Nothason and #Rasheeda deserve us better dominated every platform. Back in the episode, after the commercial break, we cut to confessionals. Rasheeda, mascara slightly smudged but voice steady. "I stayed quiet too long. I thought loyalty meant swallowing pain. But pain don't stay quiet forever. It comes out loud." Jasmine, sitting alone in what looked like her living room. "I came for answers about my son. I left with questions about my whole reality. But at least now I know who Kirk really is." Kirk, in a separate confessional, looking defeated for the first time ever. "I messed up. Big time. But y'all don't know the half of it. This ain't over." The episode ended on a cliffhanger shot. Kirk sitting alone at the restaurant table, head in his hands, while outside Rasheeda got into a black SUV and Jasmine walked out separately, both women moving forward while Kirk remained stuck. The screen faded to black with the words, "To be continued." And the internet collectively screamed. This confrontation wasn't just drama, it was demolition. Kirk's carefully curated image as the smooth operator, the family man with a few slip-ups, shattered into a million pieces. Rasheeda reclaimed her power in the most public way possible. Jasmine went from side piece villain to sympathetic truth teller overnight. And little Carter, the innocent center of it all, became the symbol of everything wrong with mixing love, lies, and reality TV cameras. But questions still burn. Will Rasheeda file for divorce? Will Jasmine pursue full custody now that the paternity lie is exposed? Is Kirk going to drop a redemption edit next episode, or is this the beginning of his downfall? And most importantly, how much more is still hidden in those bank statements, those text threads, those late-night meetings nobody knew about? The family is divided, loyalties are shredded, and Atlanta's reality TV scene will never be the same. Emotions ran higher than ever. Betrayals cut deeper than anyone expected, and the fallout is just getting started. The screen faded back in after the commercial break with a slow, dramatic pan across the now empty restaurant table, scattered napkins, overturned glasses, the manila envelope still lying open like an accusation nobody could ignore. The Love and Hip Hop Atlanta logo flashed across the screen with ominous music swelling underneath, then cut straight to the aftermath confessional shots that had viewers glued to their devices. Kirk sat in a dimly lit room, hoodie pulled low over his eyes, voice hoarse from shouting earlier. "I never wanted it to go down like this," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "I was trying to protect everybody. Rasheeda, Jasmine, Carter. Even myself. But secrets got legs, man. They run faster than you can chase, em." He paused, looked directly into the camera for the first time that season without his usual cocky grin. "Y'all think I'm the villain. Maybe I am. But there's more to this story. Way more." Cut to Rasheeda in her home studio, surrounded by gold records and family photos that now felt like props in a broken narrative. She sat on a velvet couch, legs crossed, still in the same outfit from the confrontation but with fresh makeup that couldn't quite hide the redness around her eyes. "I held it together in the restaurant because I had to," she said, voice steady but laced with exhaustion. "But when those cameras stopped rolling, I broke. I cried in the car all the way home. Not because I'm weak, because I'm human. I gave that man 20 years. 20. And he repaid me with lies stacked on top of more lies." She leaned forward, eyes fierce again. "But I'm not done fighting. Not for my kids. Not for my legacy. And definitely not for him." Then Jasmine's confessional, filmed in what looked like her new apartment, the one Kirk had been paying for. Soft lighting, baby toys scattered in the background, Carter's little shoes by the door. She held a mug of tea like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. "I went into that meeting thinking I'd get closure about visitation," she said quietly. "I walked out realizing the man I thought was my son's father might not even be. That changes everything. My heart is shattered for Carter. He deserves better than being used as leverage." A single tear tracked down her cheek before she wiped it away. "But I'm not crumbling. I'm rebuilding. For him. Only for him." The episode didn't let the dust settle. Producers, sensing they had captured television lightning in a bottle, jumped straight into the next morning's fallout. First scene, Rasheeda at her lawyer's office downtown Atlanta, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. She sat across from a sharp-suited attorney, flipping through the paternity results like they were just another contract. "We're filing for divorce," she said flatly. "Full custody of the children that are biologically mine. And I want every dime he had traced and accounted for." The lawyer nodded, already drafting motions. "We'll subpoena the bank records, the lease agreements, text threads, everything." Rasheeda stared out the window, jaw tight. "Make it hurt, because he made sure I felt every bit of this." Across town, Jasmine met with her own attorney in a smaller, more modest office. She brought the same envelope Rasheeda had handed her, now creased from being gripped so hard. "If the test is real," she said, voice trembling for the first time, "then Kirk has no legal claim to Carter. None. But he's been on the birth certificate. He's been signing school forms, posting pictures, collecting child support sympathy from the public. I need to know what my rights are now." Her lawyer, a no-nonsense woman in her 50s, studied the documents. "We can petition to amend the birth certificate. Remove him entirely. But it'll be messy, public, drawn out. Are you ready for that?" Jasmine looked down at a photo of Carter on her phone, chubby cheeks, bright eyes, and nodded. "I've been ready since the day he chose silence over truth." Meanwhile, Kirk wasn't sitting idle. He pulled up to the mansion he still technically shared with Rasheeda, security cameras catching every tense step as he tried the front door, locked. He rang the bell. No answer. He banged once, twice. Finally, the door cracked open and there stood Scrappy, Rasheeda's longtime friend and confidant, arms crossed, blocking the entrance like a human barricade. "She ain't here, bruh," Scrappy said, voice low and final. "And even if she was, you still ain't coming in." Kirk tried to push past. Scrappy didn't budge. "You really wanna do this on camera? Again?" Kirk stepped back, hands up. "Tell her I just wanna talk to my kids." Scrappy laughed bitterly. "Which ones? The ones you claimed or the one you lied about?" The door slammed. Kirk stood on the porch staring at the closed door, shoulders slumped, the weight of his choices finally crushing him. Social media hadn't stopped exploding since the episode aired. #Kirk Exposed held #1 worldwide for 12 straight hours. Fan pages dissected every frame. The way Rasheeda's hand shook when she pulled out the envelope. The exact second Kirk's bravado cracked. Jasmine's slow blink when the paternity percentage hit 0. TikTok stitches went viral. Users lip-syncing Rasheeda's "We're done, Kirk" line over breakup anthems. Twitter threads broke down the timeline. When the apartment lease started. 3 months before Carter's birth. When the monthly deposits began. Right after Jasmine announced her pregnancy. When Rasheeda first found the bank statement. 6 months before the confrontation. Exactly as Kirk had accused. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Team Rasheeda all day. She held it down too long, one side argued. Jasmine knew what she was doing. Don't act innocent now, countered the other. A smaller but loud contingent defended Kirk. Y'all quick to cancel a black man trying to provide for multiple families. Double standards. The next scene shifted to a group chat that had been secretly recorded. Classic LHH production move. Mimi Faust, Carly Red, and a few other cast members on a video call, reacting in real time as the episode played. Mimi shook her head. Kirk been playing chess while everybody else playing checkers. But checkmate just happened. Carly laughed darkly. Rasheeda walked in like she was about to collect souls. I'm here for it. Another friend chimed in. Jasmine held those receipts like a loaded gun. Respect. The call devolved into gasps and, oh no he didn't, every time the paternity result flashed on screen. By the end, Mimi summed it up. This ain't just drama. This is the end of an era. Producers then cut to a sit-down interview with the show's resident truth teller, Stevie J, who'd been suspiciously quiet until now. He lounged in a recording studio, gold chains glinting under studio lights. I told Kirk years ago, secrets don't stay secret on this show. They fester, then they explode. He laughed me off. Look at him now. Stevie leaned into the camera. But real talk. That paternity twist. Even I didn't see the coming. Kirk always talked like Carter was his heart. If that ain't his blood. Damn. That's cold. The episode ramped up again with a surprise appearance nobody expected. K. Michelle, who'd had her own infamous run-ins with Kirk back in the day. She posted an Instagram live from her tour bus, reacting live to the episode. I've been saying for years that man moves funny, she declared, voice booming through phone speakers. Rasheeda, baby, you better than me. I would have aired him out in season 2. But you held your grace until you couldn't. And when you couldn't, chilly, you handled it like a queen. The live racked up 2 million viewers in under an hour. Comments flooded. K. Michelle speaking facts. Kirk's karma finally caught the bus. Protect Rasheeda at all costs. Back in the narrative, we saw Kirk trying to regroup at a friend's condo, pacing the living room while on speakerphone with his manager. I need damage control, he barked. Statement, interview, something. I look like the devil out here. The manager sighed. Kirk, the paternity test is notarized. You can deny it all you want, but science don't care about optics. Best move is silence right now. Let it breathe. Kirk slammed his fist on the counter. Silence. That's what got me here. I need to tell my side. The manager paused. Then tell it. But know this. Once you open your mouth, every lie you ever told gets dragged into the light. You ready for that? Kirk hung up without answering. He stared at his reflection in the dark window, older, tired, cornered. Meanwhile, Rasheeda gathered her children, the ones confirmed hers, at her sister's house outside the city. No cameras this time, just raw, private family time. She sat on the floor with them, explaining in the gentlest voice she could muster that Daddy made some big mistakes, and things are going to change, but Mommy's got y'all forever. One of her daughters asked the question every viewer dreaded. Is Carter still our brother? Rasheeda pulled her close. Always. Blood or not, he's family. We don't turn our backs on family. The cameras weren't there, but producers recreated the moment in voice-over narration, Rasheeda's words echoing over slow-motion footage of her hugging the kids. It was the softest, most human beat in an episode full of explosions. Jasmine, on the other hand, took Carter to a pediatrician for confirmation testing, her own private verification. The doctor's office scene was tense, her bouncing Carter on her knee while waiting for results. When the nurse handed her the new printout, same conclusion, 0% probability, she didn't cry this time. She just exhaled, long and slow, like she'd been holding her breath for years. In confessional later, it hurts. God, it hurts. But it also frees me. No more begging a man who never planned to stay. No more pretending we're a family when we were never built on truth. The episode closed its middle act with parallel shots. Kirk alone in the condo, scrolling through hate comments on his phone, face illuminated by the screen's glow. Rasheeda driving through Atlanta at night, windows down, music loud, reclaiming her space. Jasmine rocking Carter to sleep, whispering, "Mommy's got you," over and over. Three different paths diverging from the same shattered intersection. But the producers weren't done twisting the knife. Right before the credits, a teaser for next week, grainy footage of Kirk pulling up to Jasmine's building late at night, knocking on her door. Her silhouette in the window, hesitating, then opening it. The screen cut to black with text overlay. Kirk makes one last play. But is it too late? The internet imploded all over again. This stretch of the episode proved one thing above all. When the masks finally fall on love and hip-hop Atlanta, nobody walks away unscathed. Loyalties fractured. Reputations torched. A child's entire identity thrown into question. And yet, in the wreckage, two women, once enemies, now bound by shared betrayal, began to glimpse something like mutual respect. Whether that becomes alliance or just ceasefire remains to be seen. But one truth rang clear through every confessional, every argument, every viral clip: the Frost family facade is gone. What rises from the ashes depends on who's brave enough to face the mirror. The episode picked up steam in its final third with a montage that felt deliberately cruel in its pacing. Quick cuts between the three main players navigating the first 48 hours after the bomb dropped. Kirk, holed up in that same friend's condo, had now barricaded himself in the guest room, phone on Do Not Disturb, but the notifications still bled through the silence like accusations. He scrolled obsessively. Old photos of him holding Carter at birthday parties, Rasheeda kissing his cheek on red carpets, Jasmine smiling shyly in a hospital bed right after delivery. Every image now felt like evidence in a trial he was losing. He tried calling Rasheeda, straight to voicemail. Texted her, "We need to talk. For real this time." No cameras. No reply. He texted Jasmine next. "I swear I didn't know about the test. Let me explain." Three dots appeared, then vanished. He threw the phone across the room. It cracked against the wall but stayed lit up, mocking him with unread messages from managers, lawyers, and former castmates offering thoughts and prayers that read more like damage assessments. Rasheeda, meanwhile, had turned her energy outward. She scheduled an emergency meeting with her entire management team at a private loft in Midtown. No cameras allowed this time. Producers had to wait outside, but insiders leaked enough details later to paint the picture. She walked in wearing all black, sunglasses on even indoors, and didn't sit. "First thing," she said, voice cutting through the room like a blade, "I'm taking control of my narrative. No more playing nice for ratings. Second, we're accelerating the divorce filing today if possible. Third, I want every endorsement, every brand deal, every speaking gig reviewed for any Kirk overlap. If his name is attached, we cut it." One exec hesitated. "Rasheeda, the public might see this as vindictive." She removed her sunglasses slowly. "Vindictive is letting a man lie to your face for a decade while you build his empire. I'm done being the understanding wife. From here on, I protect me." The room went quiet. By the end of the meeting she had a war chest, crisis PR team on retainer, forensic accountant booked, and a solo interview locked with a major outlet scheduled for the following week. "I'm not hiding," she told them. "I'm speaking." Jasmine's path looked quieter on the surface but carried its own weight. She took Carter to a quiet park on the outskirts of Atlanta, away from paparazzi drones and fan ambushes. Sitting on a bench while he toddled after pigeons, she recorded a voice memo to herself, something she'd started doing after therapy sessions. "Today I feel empty and full at the same time," she whispered into her phone. "Empty because the man I loved turned out to be a fiction. Full because I finally know I don't have to wait for him to choose us anymore." She deleted the memo, then pulled up her contacts and hovered over Rasheeda's name. After a long minute she hit call. It rang 4 times. Rasheeda picked up on the 5th. "No hello, just, what do you want, Jasmine?" Jasmine swallowed. "I don't want anything from you. I think we should talk. About Carter. About what happens next. Not for him, not for Kirk, for the kids." Silence stretched so long Jasmine thought the call dropped. Then Rasheeda sighed. "Meet me tomorrow. Neutral spot. No cameras. Bring proof you're really done with him." Click. The next day arrived like a storm front. Producers set up at a private rooftop lounge, glass walls, city views, minimal staff, so the "no cameras" rule could be bent just enough for the show. Rasheeda arrived first, early, wearing oversized shades and a baseball cap pulled low. Jasmine showed up 10 minutes later pushing Carter in a stroller. The little boy babbled happily, oblivious. Rashida's face softened when she saw him. She knelt immediately, letting him grab her finger. "Hey, big man," she murmured. Jasmine watched, eyes glistening. They sat at opposite ends of a long table at first, then slowly scooted closer as the conversation unfolded. Rasheeda spoke first. "I hated you for a long time. Not because you slept with my husband, that part I could almost forgive. But because you let him keep you secret while I was out here looking like a fool." Jasmine nodded. "I hated myself more. I told myself if I just waited, if I was patient, he'd choose right. I was wrong." Rasheeda studied her. "The test. You really didn't know." Jasmine shook her head. "I swear. I thought Kirk was fighting because he loved Carter. Turns out he was fighting because he needed the optics." Rasheeda exhaled. "He needed the story. The blended family redemption arc. It sold records, sold tickets, sold the brand." Jasmine looked down at Carter playing with a toy truck. "What do we do now?" Rasheeda leaned forward. "We co-parent the kids we share, mine and the ones they consider siblings. We keep Kirk out of decisions until a judge says otherwise. And we don't let him spin this into another season of chaos." Jasmine met her eyes. "Deal." The cameras caught the moment they shook hands, tentative at first, then firmer. Carter crawled between them, reaching for both women, and for a split second the frame froze on that image. Two women who'd spent years as enemies, now connected by something stronger than blood or betrayal. Fans watching later called it the redemption nobody saw coming. Hashtags shifted overnight from #Kirk exposed to #Queens link up and #4thekids. Kirk, of course, wasn't invited to that meeting. Instead he made his own desperate move. Late that same night he showed up at Jasmine's building, same grainy footage teased at the end of the previous act. He buzzed the intercom repeatedly. "Jazz, please. Just 5 minutes." She watched him on the security camera feed, Carter asleep in her arms. After the 10th buzz she opened the door, but only the outer gate. She stood in the hallway, arms crossed. "You shouldn't be here." Kirk looked wrecked, unshaven, eyes bloodshot. "I need to see him. Just see him." Jasmine shook her head. "You don't have rights anymore, Kirk. Not legal ones. And not moral ones." He stepped closer. "I raised him. I changed diapers, sang lullabies, posted every milestone. That counts for something." Jasmine's voice cracked but stayed firm. "It counts for the lie you built it on. You knew. Maybe not the DNA part, but you knew you weren't stepping up the way a real father does. You used him." Kirk reached out. She stepped back. "Don't touch me. Don't touch him. Go home to whatever's left of it." She closed the door. Kirk stood in the hallway for a full minute before walking away, head down, the security camera capturing his silhouette shrinking into the night. The fallout rippled outward. Mimi Faust hosted an impromptu IG Live with half the cast, dissecting every new development. "I'm proud of Rasheeda," she said. "She didn't just walk away, she walked toward something better." Carly Red chimed in. "Jasmine showing up with the baby. That took guts. Respect." Even Jocelyn Hernandez, never one to mince words, posted a cryptic clip, her in a red dress, lip-syncing to Beyoncé's "Sorry" caption, "Some kings need to be dethroned." The comments sections turned into therapy sessions, fans sharing their own stories of betrayal, co-parenting nightmares, and finally choosing themselves. Producers milked the tension for one last confessional block. Kirk, back in the condo, stared straight into the lens. "I lost everything. My wife. My son. My image. But I'm not done fighting for redemption. Not yet." Rasheeda, in her home studio now turned sanctuary, spoke softly. "I used to think love meant staying. Now I know it means knowing when to leave and when to rebuild stronger." Jasmine, rocking Carter in her nursery, whispered almost to herself, "We start over. Clean slate. No more shadows." The episode closed with a three-way split screen. Kirk walking alone down an empty Atlanta street, Rasheeda in her studio laying down a new verse that sounded like liberation, Jasmine kissing Carter's forehead as the sun rose over the city. Voice-over narration layered on top. One night changed everything. Loyalties broke. Truths surfaced. And in the ashes of a broken family, two women found unexpected common ground. But for Kirk Frost, the road back, if there's one, will be the hardest he's ever walked. The screen faded to black. Text appeared. The fallout continues. Next week. Then the credits rolled over a slowed-down clip of the rooftop handshake, Rasheeda and Jasmine's hands clasped, Carter's tiny one reaching up to touch them both. The internet didn't sleep that night. Blogs posted think pieces. Podcasts dropped emergency episodes. Fan edits set the handshake to gospel choirs and triumphant horns. The love and hip-hop Atlanta fandom fractured, healed, and fractured again, all in the span of one episode. This wasn't just television drama anymore. It was a cultural moment. A mirror held up to messy relationships, public personas, and the cost of living a double life under bright lights. Kirk's empire cracked. Rasheeda rose from the rubble. Jasmine stepped out of the shadows. And somewhere in the middle, a little boy kept playing, unaware that the adults around him had just rewritten his entire story. Questions lingered like smoke. Would Kirk attempt a sit-down interview to plead his case? Would Rasheeda drop a diss track coded just enough to go viral? Would Jasmine and Rasheeda's fragile truce hold? Or would old resentments creep back in? And most hauntingly, what would Carter one day think when he watched this footage as a grown man? For now, the city held its breath. Atlanta's reality royalty had fallen, risen, and realigned. And nobody, not the cast, not the fans, not even the producers, knew exactly what came next. The smoke from that explosive confrontation still hangs thick over love and hip-hop Atlanta, and honestly, we're all left staring at the wreckage wondering what pieces can even be salvaged. Kirk Frost's world imploded in real time, his marriage to Rasheeda reduced to ashes, his claim to fatherhood exposed as the ultimate lie, his carefully crafted image of the smooth, family-first hustler shredded beyond recognition. Rasheeda emerged not just as the scorned wife, but as a force reclaiming her power, her voice, her future, proving that grace has an expiration date when betrayal runs this deep. And Jasmine Washington. She walked into that restaurant seeking answers about her son and walked out carrying the weight of a truth that freed her from years of waiting, even as it shattered the only family story she'd ever known. Together, in that fragile rooftop moment, two women who once viewed each other as threats found something closer to understanding. Maybe not friendship, not yet, but a shared resolve to protect the innocent lives caught in the crossfire. Yet so many questions still burn hotter than ever. Will Rasheeda follow through with the divorce and strip Kirk of everything he built on her back? Will she drop that rumored solo project laced with bars that cut straight to the bone? Will Jasmine push to erase Kirk from Carter's legal records entirely? Or will she allow supervised visits for the sake of the child's stability? And Kirk, can a man who lied this long, this publicly, ever claw his way back to redemption? Or is this the final curtain on his reality TV reign? The family remains divided, loyalties forever altered, and Atlanta's streets are buzzing with whispers of what comes next. Custody battles in courtrooms, tell-all interviews, maybe even a reunion special designed to milk every last drop of pain for ratings. One thing is crystal clear. This wasn't just another episode of drama. This was a reckoning that forced everyone, cast, crew, fans, to look at the real cost of secrets, side lives, and staying silent too long. Emotions ran higher than we've ever seen, betrayals cut deeper than any knife, and the fallout is nowhere near finished. Love and hip-hop Atlanta has always thrived on chaos, but this season might have finally broken its own formula. Now it's your turn. What do you think happens next? Is Kirk done for good? Or does he have one more twist left? Team Rasheeda for standing in her power, Team Jasmine for finally breaking free, or are you still holding out hope for some kind of reconciliation nobody saw coming? Drop your hottest takes in the comments below. Be brutal, be honest, be loud. Smash that like button if this breakdown had you yelling at your screen. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter of this madness. And turn on notifications because the fallout is only getting started. Tell me, after everything we just witnessed, who really won tonight? I'm reading every single comment. Let's talk about it.